Do you know what? I think watching the promoters arguing, lawyers arguing, is more entertaining than the fight's going to be. As I said, I watched a video the other day of. I didn't watch. I listened to the YouTube channel of Talk Sport of Frank Warren and Dillian Whyte's lawyer, and I have to say, if he was my lawyer, he wouldn't even be making cups of tea for me. How he ever signed the bout agreement without having another agreement in place is beyond me. I remember when we fought Tucker and Don King won the purse bid for the WBC title, and they were trying to decide how the split should go. We finally got that sorted out, and before we signed the bout agreement, we went to King and said, right, these are our requirements. We want them if you want us to do this and that. We agreed to do a number of press conferences because we got extra flights, we got our tickets, we got our hotel rooms in Las Vegas, more than you have to give that's on the bout contract. Because if that's the only one you signed, that's all the promoters got to agree to. And we signed both agreements together. Don, being Don, tried to drag out the negotiations, but we just said, if we're not signing it and you can't promote the fight until it is signed. These are our requirements. Now, in return, what do you require us to do? Don came back with a load of things. We took out a few. And, when you negotiate a contract, you put some stuff in there that you're quite willing to lose. And there was stuff in there we put, which we knew was way above what promoter will give us, even in free negotiations. But we actually got what we wanted. We got X amount of tickets, we got X amount of extra airplane tickets and extra hotel rooms. And the fight went ahead. And at that time, Lennox got his biggest purse. I believe it was just over 9 million. And we went on pretty well. And it's all about not being afraid to ask. We had an English lawyer, but we also employed an American lawyer. We used the main events lawyer, who is very good at negotiating and knows every trick of the trade. So we had a very strong team in meeting Don King and his team. Don had 2 or 3 lawyers at every meeting. Also, the executives Showtime were there as well because they wanted to make sure they were going to get what was in the contract. And, King got upset because we just done exactly what we said we would do, and what we didn't do anything extra and didn't do anything less. But Don wanted a lot extra because, he said, if I give you this, will you do that? And being the kind of person I was, I said, Don, of course we will. We'll do what's in the contract. If we have to do a little bit more, we'll do it. But we didn't do any more. And that's when Don decided to call me the mental midget, the pugilistic pygmy. And would you put someone like me flying a super jet when you wouldn't even put me in a glider? It was quite funny, But the fight happened, but there was nowhere near this nonsense that's going on at the moment. We opened our training camp up one day a week to the public and to the press, which also benefited Lennox. It's not all about benefiting the promotion. It's also about benefiting yourself. And that's very important. You have to keep that relationship with the press, because if you turn them against you, they can destroy you. You can be the greatest fighter in the world, but if you haven't got the press on your side, you've got serious problems, and let's be honest, Lennox wasn't the most accommodating with the press was, but he'd done what he had to do. He knew the game, and the rest of the team, we covered for him and made sure the right statements were put out. But we're not getting that from Dillian Whyte. Dillian doesn't have to help the promotion, but what Dillian should be doing is helping himself. He should invite the press into his training camp. He should sit down and tell his side of the story from him, not from the lawyer, and do it in a way that people will understand and maybe sympathise with him. But he's getting a good payday. He's challenging for the title fight he always wanted. But, you know, he had a great lawyer in his English lawyer. I'm not sure if he still got him. But he changed the English lawyer for an American lawyer. The fight's in England. It's an English promoter. And I'm sure in the contract that Frank would have, this contract is under English law. I may be wrong. Jurisdiction. So why would you want an American lawyer to negotiate for you? And sometimes, you know, American lawyers are great talkers, but not always great deliverance. You know, we've had one or two bad lawyers in the Lewis team that we managed to get out quick. Same as trainers. You get a bad trainer, you get rid of him. You have a good trainer, you keep him. We had a good team. You know, we had our English lawyer, we had our American lawyer. You know, Chester English, Bernard Clark was our English lawyer, and they worked together and they consulted together. And that way we won many cases and got away with a lot more than probably we should have got away with, because we were coming from both sides. Yeah, as our English lawyer said, in America he wasn't so sure of the rules, but he told our American lawyer what we wanted. And vice versa, when it came over here, our American lawyer told what we should look out for, and our English lawyer made sure it was taken care of. You know, boxing is an individual sport, but the people around the boxing, he needs a team that can help him, a team that can put things in place, a team that can work for him and his benefit. Because at this moment, I don't know what's going on, but I don't see a lot of work being done in Dillian Whyte's favour. When I read the comments on YouTube, and this is comments not by people in the trade, by the fans, saying Dillian Whyte is doing himself no favours. He's turning the fans against him. And that, you know, he doesn't want to be doing that, because if he does, he wants to walk into that stadium. Forget the tickets. His fans can still buy tickets by going to Ticketmaster, the same as Dillian Whyte, same as Tyson Fury's fans can, same as the general public can. All he's missing is tickets for his entourage and for his own personal guests, which, again, the lawyer should negotiate before they sign that contract. What press conferences he should do, he should agree with, you know. Who knows, Frank Warren may have a case in listening to that, because it says in the Bow agreement he will do his reasonable best to promote the fight. And that means, that does mean, I think, turning up at a press conference. It may be a game of mind, because, you know, you may not want Fury to get into his head. But Dillian Whyte is a strong character. I think he could overcome that. I don't think people say Tyson Fury wins fights by getting into people's minds. I don't think he'll get into Dillian's mind, because, you know, I've worked with Dillian. I know what sort of strong person he is, what his personality is. And he's obviously matured a lot since his early days, you know. But, as I said, I don't think he's doing himself no favours. So they need to look at their camp. They need to look at the people in the camp. I'm not talking about the training teams, because in Harold Knight, he has a great trainer. And the other thing, maybe we'll discuss Harold Knight, a protege of Emmanuel Stewart, and I forgot the guy's name in Tyson Fury's camp, but he's also an Emmanuel Stewart protege from the Kronk gym. Harold Knight will be working the best method he can, but will Dillian Whyte let him take charge of the training camp? Because if he doesn't let him, and he wants to control the camp, the fight's lost already. And vice versa with Fury. Lennox Lewis was the world heavyweight champion, but the one thing he did, he respected the people in camp. He listened to the people in camp. And he may not always agree with us, but if the majority thought it was the best thing for him, he went with it. If the majority were against it, we went with Lennox's view, you know, and that's how it works. But the one thing he did, as far as boxing concerned and designing his plans, it was totally left to Emmanuel Stewart and Harold Knight. They were the boxing people. The strength coaches were not involved in the planning of the fight. Their job was just to get him ready and get him fit. But we'll talk about training camps, and we'll talk about what goes on in a training camp in our next one. But so far, if this was a two-legged match, I have to say Fury and the Warren team are well in front. I'm sorry, Dillian, but, you know, you should have kept your English lawyer.